Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
Hello, welcome to another Blakey's Bootroom. I'm Gareth Rogers, here with me Nathan Blake and Steve Tucker. As ever, we're talking Cardiff City and the playoff dream is still alive.
As ever, we haven't been on for 3 weeks. You're thinking it's gone.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Be nice.
Nathan Blake.
Just let you know we've moved to our nice new studio and
swapped around.
Yep, ready for another great show. Let's talk about the game. Got out of jail a bit, didn't he, Saturday? But glorious scene to the 94th minute there, Steve.
Good old Peter Whittingham again stepping up. If it was all about the result, then it was a successful sort of afternoon in the end. Fingers crossed and biting your nails. They needed the win, they got the win. I don't think the manner of the win is going to excite too many people. Thought it was, I mean, even by the standards they've set this season, which have never been massively high, I thought they were below par from where they have been. And we were just talking just now and saying, really, to be fair, Bolton probably should have won it on the balance of play. I mean, they played, two-thirds of the game with 10 men.
Looked more dangerous with 10 men.
On the break. They were Cardiff, I don't know how many times you said this, thankful to Marshall for a couple of really smart saves late on. So, you don't want to be churlish about it. Great, they got the win. Somehow, by some miracle, the playoff dream is still on. But they're not going up to Hillsborough kind of like buzzing, are they, after a fantastic performance? I don't think. I thought it was a very disappointing display, to be honest.
It's called pressure.
Do you think they're feeling the pressure?
I do.
Yeah?
I do. I think it's been so long where they've been in this run now where they were almost waiting for Sheffield Wednesday to pull away from them, so it's done and dusted. Sheffield Wednesday keep giving them opportunity. Cardiff keep missing the opportunity, and everyone's talking about it. It's all people are talking about is making that sixth spot, and I think that obviously comes with pressure. And to me, Saturday's performance was a team who have been playing well, performing well, and all of a sudden it's like the wheels have come off, because you got to be looking at going up against Bolton in all fairness. There's another club I love to the bone. I had probably my greatest successes at Bolton, and I was really sad to see what happens. But Cardiff should have been looking to. It's not always. Don't just say it happens. I understand that, but they should have been looking to make a real statement, especially when they went down to 10 men. Open them up, get the goal, second goal, and then the game just would die from Bolton's point of view. If they made a statement of 3 or 4 goals going to Hillsborough next week, I think you put them on the back foot a bit, but they're going to be right up for it. Hillsborough, it's going to be a full stadium, no doubt, 30-odd thousand. It's going to be a ding-dong match.
The pressure's all going to be on Wednesday, though, isn't it? They've been in possession all this time.
No, because both teams are able to get into the playoffs. So it's no, if you've got, mathematically, it doesn't matter if you're in there or just outside it. If you've got the opportunity of getting in there, then pressure's on you as it's on Sheffield Wednesday, just like the top 3. The pressure's on all 3 of them to get the top 2 positions.
Wednesday have got 2 bites of the cherry as well. I mean, the ball's in their court. Correct. They can afford to lose to Cardiff, which wouldn't be the great, but they know then, okay, right,
got to win the last 2.
Let's get to Molyneux, and if we win there, it doesn't really matter what Cardiff do. But
in Cardiff's recent history, we've all seen being in this exact position the other way around. Know what it's like to be looking over your shoulder.
Let's not forget, it's only that we keep. Like I thought this on Saturday. I was driving home after Call Rob, and I thought to myself, I can't believe how much emphasis has been placed on just making the playoffs. You still got a semi-final and then a final.
Against a team that have won 20
I think surely you could say, if fair play to them, they made the playoffs. I just couldn't envisage them going through it and winning. I can actually picture them now reaching it. I can sort of see a reach.
Like they
get a 1-0 at Sheffield Wednesday, and then sort of like they manage to scrabble past Bootroom. I can actually picture. What I can never picture after that is them going over 2 legs with, like, Derby or whatever they get. Would they get
Burnley, Borough and Brighton? Burnley, Borough and Brighton are all joint on 87. At the moment, Cardiff on 67. But
I like this show. We're worried about who they're going to get in the playoffs.
But this is football. This is what happens.
Yeah,
I suppose. There's plenty of times where a side has come basically from nowhere, like Cardiff, and has ended up going up.
Don't they usually?
All season.
But I mean, yeah,
but they haven't looked like getting in.
And those sides,
they've been in.
Not
they've
since
come
Christmas.
out. But you've got to say, whether they've looked like getting in as a performance, the opportunity for them to get in has presented itself at least 5 times.
But look, I mean, anyway, when you're talking about a side that suddenly just right at the end grafts into the playoffs, usually they're in a great run of form, aren't they? You know, they're on a roll. They've won 5 of the last 6 or something.
Hang on, they're going to have to have won all 3. They have to have been 3 out of 3 to get there for a start. So that's a good run.
Well, by this standard, that's a miraculous run, I would say. Okay, I don't know.
The first time this season that they won 3 games.
It would have been.
It sounds a bit echoey.
But it's
That's why
doable.
it sounds a bit louder.
That's the it's like atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like being in the Canton stand.
It's bringing my old theatre training back,
the
darling.
question I want to ask is,
To be or not to be?
Shakespeare's birthday or death. I don't know, which one was it?
what is success? At this stage now, where we're at, what's success?
You could argue they've already succeeded.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You could.
You could argue they've already underachieved.
I mean,
you could. That's why I asked the question.
No, but
Yin and yang.
let's think about it. We thought, let's be honest about this. In the boot room, didn't we think about 6 or 7, 8, 9 games in, we'd be talking about who was be taking over from Slade? Think back, didn't we? We were like, oh, he's going to have to get off to a really good start, and and he's weathered all that.
They've had a couple of bad runs.
I was thinking this about Slade the other day, and it struck me as weird was the interesting thing about him is I know it always happens in Manchester, but he's constantly having to establish himself. Do you know, he's in a constant state of having to prove his worth.
He's always going to.
Even if that's quite a good thing.
Even if they go up, there's going to be, Slade's not good enough for the Premier League.
Oh, exactly. Well, I'm amazed by how many people want him out. I mean, really, I was out on Saturday night just having a few drinks with my friends, and I had people kind of going, "We're never going anywhere with that guy." Yeah. And you're like listening to them going,
social media Saturday night was full of that.
I know.
I expected people to be celebrating this.
Well, so did I. And you expect Slade to be given a bit more credit, but there's still a mass. I mean, unless I'm just bumping.
He had like 2 weeks. Yeah. Of when we were off air, he had like 2 weeks. Maybe
that's just a coincidence. I hope. We're cursing Slade. Hey, look, we're back now, slagging him off. We're what we should be doing.
Last Saturday, I think it was the performance more than anything else. There was relief in the result at the end, but I think, at the end of the day, people aren't stupid. You get that feeling when you're on a run, and we're untouchable. Even when we've played poorly, we've won or got a result out of the game. And when that doesn't materialise, I think, fans have been watching it long enough now to understand that, they're not optimistic then.
No, nobody's optimistic
about what's going on. And I think the problem with Slade is, right, and you might agree with this, as what you've just said, like having to reinvent himself all the time.
Oh, constantly.
I think that has a bearing on how he approaches games. Because I honestly believe, I said this on Saturday, I believe the mentality is just shy of where they need to be. Hence why I said they finished 7th or 8th, right? Or 8th or 9th. I think it's because he, as in Russell, is more going into games thinking, I dare not lose, rather than what are we going to do to win.
Okay.
And that reflects, attitude reflects leadership, I always say, right? And if you feel your leader is it's going to be, for me, I just think it's almost playing out what I thought it would play out. I think performances were worse than I expected them to be for longer than I expected them to be. I expected a hangover. I expected, like, because of so much nonsense around the manager. So I expected it to take a while for him to get into their run, but I never expected it to come after Christmas. I thought they'd probably August, September, and then from about October, November, they'd be up and down between 5th and 8th, and finally might just fall short. That's what I thought.
When was the run? There was no run. There was that.
Now, 3 games.
Well, this is it. No, okay, they're going to have to have it now, right? This is a good time. But
They've just been inconsistent as hell, haven't they?
I wrote it in the piece, and it's like the most boring playoff chase in history, kind of. There's nothing almost to fasten on to on it. It's sort of like, it's sort of stumbled along on itself. I mean, I don't know, but you do feel you're being overcritical. I suppose you are, because they're there, they're in with a chance. But the manner in which it's being achieved is so dull.
I think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Tux, we can all say, at this stage of the season, it's just the result.
Yeah, no, I accept that, I do.
But when people say that, you think, oh, well, that's the general consensus. Well, it's not, because now the general consensus, as you found out Saturday, is really what they're saying is, are we playing well enough to get in?
Well, exactly.
And get,
you say that it's about results. If
it.
they'd been having good purple patches during the season, you go, oh, that would they run 4 or 5, and then suddenly Bolton turned up and they just about scrambled back. You'd say, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
there was nerves. It was all about the result.
Yeah,
it was all about the. But because but that's what I mean. This is how they play.
Consistency has been
exactly. So it doesn't bode much massive confidence going to Hillsborough. You don't say, but they
I
can.
just think it's after all said and done, it's great that you still got the opportunity now. That switch can flip at any time. If those players believe. And I always say, I've said this to you many times, I'm like, you interview players and they go, yeah, I believe we can get there. And then they go home and they're driving in the car, they're on the phone to their mates say, we got no chance. Have you seen Middlesbrough? Have you seen, yeah, we're not them. So they don't truly believe. Now, there's a difference between believing and truly believing, I always say. If they truly believe they can, you just look at that picture there with the players at their disposal, they got more than enough.
Yeah, they could easily go and win at Sheffield Wednesday.
They could easily go and win all the way and beat the final.
That day they beat Brighton, they showed what they've got in their locker.
Yeah.
There's one performance that stands out all season.
Wolves away was
a brilliant result, I thought.
Wolves away was
good.
Derby,
particularly that Brighton game.
Brilliant. Brighton, I thought were brilliant. Wolves away, I thought they were amazing.
I thought they were great there, yeah.
So they've got a performance in them. It's almost like a cup team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would, if they got into the playoffs, I'd never back against them.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But you'd probably think, well.
And there's one team that doesn't want to come to Cardiff, and that's Brighton, because they're the team that have been hammered here once already this season.
The beauty of the playoffs is there's 2 legs.
Yeah, but they'd have to come here
so
first.
You're going to have to hammer. You're going to have to really, and 9
it wouldn't
times
work
out of
like
10, I think in all the days I've known, I've only seen one result. I think that was last season where the playoff ended up 3 or 4 goal difference.
So it wouldn't happen.
1-0.
With this Cardiff team, it wouldn't happen.
They're usually tight.
Yeah, very tight affairs. And then it comes down to your nerves and your kahunas.
Yeah, that's it. The sad thing is it can be done. But okay, I mean everyone's talking about Kenneth Zohore or Kenneth Zohore, however you say it. You're a striker, Blakey. What was your take on him?
2 and 2. I thought he was. I'd like to see him in the pre-season, fully fit, because he's fit, but I still think he's probably 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I think with a pre-season behind him, he's decent pace, good power, good in the air, seems like he can finish. I'd like to see him with a pre-season behind next season. I think he could do some damage.
Yeah.
And I really think that's probably, for me, 2 biggest reasons why we find ourselves where we are is we took too long to sort out the central midfield. We were bagging on about it all season.
It went on for months, didn't it? I remember it well. The lopsided.
It's taken so long.
Was that this season? It feels like years ago. I remember back in 2010 when we were talking about. It doesn't seem like 2 weeks ago. Time flies when you're having fun.
The other reason is no 9.
Yeah.
No out-and-out striker. Pilkington, I think he's done a great job.
The Pilkington experiment is coming off the boil
what's
now.
Happened is now, I think what's happened with Cardiff's attack is it's become predictable.
Yeah.
Noon. I said, speaking to someone the other day, and they were talking to me about Noon, and they had just completely dissected this game. And what was the game before? I think it was not after Fulham or before Fulham.
QPR.
QPR.
0-0, yeah.
0-0, and he was up against what's his name? Quite pacey.
Konchesky.
Yeah. And they were saying, like, all they've said is, like, he cuts back. And I like, if I was the manager now, I'd be saying to him, right, Nooney, see first 45 minutes, I want you to get 4 or 5 crosses in with your right foot.
Or at least one. Just one or two.
Just do 4 or 5. If they go behind the goal, so what? If
He can cross with his right as well.
And he can throw in a nice floater with his right foot. But what it does, it just upsets the whole apple
Makes them think, oh, I don't want him skipping past me.
Right. So they're all working on Nooney going down the right, chop, cut, whip. Now, as soon as you cut back, your defence is supposed to step up.
Yeah.
Your midfielder will close down that
Yeah.
ball. Your fullback will close down that ball.
8 men behind the
Hence
ball.
why, so he's not getting so much joy. Or I'd say to him, right, go and play on the left-hand side today.
Yeah, go around the outside, which he did for the goal. It's Zahore's goal. Noon runs about 50 yards.
Yeah.
It was a
Up down the
fantastic
left.
run. I mean, he picked it up in his own half, broke
All
a
down
couple
the
of
left,
tackles.
all on his left
It was
foot. No
real
one's doing it.
vintage Noon, but like I said, it was vintage Noon, but something you just don't see enough of
Do you
him
remember
this
that game at
season.
Man City away in the Premier League? I think it was one of the defenders.
Oh God, who was it? I was there.
The right back.
No, it was one of the centre halves. No,
What's the name? Right back, wasn't it? Who played?
Zabaleta.
Zabaleta.
Who said who the hell was that guy?
Yeah.
I remember. I was there. I was at.
And he
the
certainly
Etihad.
wasn't going inside every time that day. He was going out, he was going,
was
coming round,
unstoppable, that
spinning. And that's what he's
don't
got in his
know-
locker yet. Or we know we're 2 years on, and he's not only not improved,
Well, he's gone backwards. You'd have to say.
but he's
You
still.
would. I mean, it's not being harsh. He's not putting in the level of performances that he was. I know he's had loads of injury troubles, whether it's
He has
that.
had
or
injury
he's had
trouble.
He's had a lot
the
of
other
niggly
thing-
injuries, hasn't he?
They bring
Nuno.
Kadeem Harris on.
Gone backwards.
Well, wouldn't you agree? I mean, what would you say? I mean,
I wouldn't
not.
say he's gone back. I just don't think he's as influential at the moment.
Well,
And
okay, or it's not as
people-
One
consistent.
minute he's
as-
terrorising
I would say
international.
That's the story of the season.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Do you
he
know what I
reflects
mean?
the whole.
It's like
reflects the whole side.
What I say is, you can't dig him out.
No, I'm not.
Saying,
I'm
like-
just
Here-
happened to be
here's
talking
one for
about
you,
it.
Blake, and it was frustrating me
Who's
Saturday.
this from?
No, it's just saying every time they go wide, they don't go into the box. And Kadeem Harris came on, went into the box once, won a penalty. And they just
Someone
weren't
on
doing
this
it.
show been calling for pace in the team for about a year, or maybe longer.
But yeah,
I'm sure someone was saying we need pace.
It's
Russell Slade was calling for it the other day. He said, "What do you need to do next
Get in
year
the
if you're
box,
still here?" He said,
get in
"I
the
need a bit of
danger area."
pace."
Right.
Da-da-da-da.
there's a good point about Immers and Rolls.
Pace kills, mate. I tell you, and what we haven't got for all our front line,
Right.
the only 2 players who've got what I would call, well, not even blistering Amiobi, but I would say Kadeem is not blistering, but he's sharp as attack. You know.
Give him something else to think about, didn't he?
Well, he's the only player who could have won that penalty then.
Yeah.
Anyone else has a corner, or they don't even get there, they get tackled. Now, that in itself, take that situation and apply it over 46 games, you're bound to get 20 occasions where he gets past the defender. Does that result in 5 goals, 2 goals, 10 goals, 12
You've got a
goals,
penalty
15
taker
goals?
who's cool as a cucumber. Get in the box,
mean,
win yourselves a
I just think-
penalty.
I just think
Don't
it's
wait till the
taken-
94th minute.
I just think it's taken too long to get the format and the players like O'Keefe in position and things like that, central midfield, no striker, okay, Pilkington, but don't keep doing it. It was a surprise package. Now chuck something
Yeah,
else at
but
them
to be fair, yeah,
tactically.
that's where he's thrown Zahor in now,
chuck
isn't he?
something else at them tactically, great. But, you know, I just think it became too predictable for me.
Okay, so we spoke about the centre midfield and somebody who calls himself "We could be without Immers." that's how worried he is about it.
50-50.
Could be without him and Rolls through injury.
Yeah.
2 of our most influential players. What do they do without them? And you know,
Well, this is where I say, Gaz, is playing one system is no good in this day and age. Because me, if we're without Immers and who's the other one,
Rolls.
I think you can cope without Rolls because I would say you've got Gunnarsson.
Well, Gunnarsson's got an ankle injury, by the way. I don't know if that's better. I don't know what the state of that is.
possibly go to having, that's what I would say, Whittingham, O'Keefe and Gunnarsson as a 3.
Yeah.
And
Oh, come on, isn't it all a bit too late for them? But, you know,
yeah,
we're
no,
going
but
to
what I'm saying is, I'm not saying.
We're talking about losing 2 of the starting centre midfielders.
I'm saying.
I asked Blakey what he'd do. What do you do?
This is what
the adjustments. Okay.
You should be adjusting.
You know he's not going to do it though, right?
No, I know he's not.
You do know he's not going to.
He might have to.
But I don't like discussing it in a hypothetical.
If they're both injured, he's got to do something.
Yeah.
Well,
you've got to replace those 2.
I would think if you put someone like Dickachoy in there.
Well, possibly.
Just bring like for like and leave Zohore up there.
That is a good point.
We use his magic again. You know, get
you
3 on the
going
bench.
to Sheffield Wednesday, it's a must-win game, but all the pressure's on them because they're at home. How do you approach it?
With great caution.
Yeah, I would look to. Well, this is where again tactically your shape and what you've done and what you've worked on. But this is where again lack of pace in the front line. You struggle to play counter-attack football.
It's almost like cut tie, isn't it? You got one chance.
You go there, you play. To me, you just counter-attack them. I would, you know.
But aren't they thinking that about?
I would have Immers in there. I would have Kadeem Harris in
but all
there.
they need's a draw. Aren't they thinking that about Cardiff? Aren't they thinking, oh, Cardiff got to come here and win, so we'll let them pressure?
No.
Or they
in the playoffs, mate, you've got to win your home
Well,
game.
they're not going to be playing for a draw, are they?
No,
Why not?
Well,
A draw season comfortably through.
Well, I would think they would have
They're not going to be taking
more
risks,
ambition
surely.
than that, but
what do you mean a draw season through?
Well, they get
Sheffield Wednesday.
That's it. If they draw,
Cardiff don't
There's
win.
no guarantee
Cardiff-
they win. They don't.
Cardiff have got to win.
Yeah.
And Sheffield Wednesday haven't.
Well,
A draw for Cardiff.
I would say if you, as the home team, approach that game as we're going to counter attack, you'll get beat.
That's what you're hoping. You're hoping as a
No,
Cardiff.
I tell you,
they're the sort
I
of.
would say if you've probably done some sort of survey, 7, 8 times out of 10, the team was at home but thinks we're gonna consolidate. We don't want to get beat. 9 times out of 10 end up getting beat because you're so nervous. And 0-0 last 10 minutes, and the ball's coming, and people are slicing it, and
a bit like Saturday.
Right. The last thing you want to do, you want to go in. If you're Sheffield Wednesday, you want to start the game. You know it's going to be plus 30,000 fans. Sheffield Wednesday.
I think they're
fans.
39,000. I was looking up today.
They will
Hillsborough's
not-
capacity
they
is like
will
39,000.
Yeah,
Something
they
or
will
other.
not
Mad.
accept Sheffield Wednesday sat back. Plus, you got to look at the caliber of players they got. They ain't a counter-attack, sit-back kind of team. They are. We're going to go for it. So, you know,
Forest
for
Union.
me, attack is best form of defence.
So, in that case, another person a lot of people are talking about, Idris Sardi. Anthony says, how dejected and demotivated must Sardi feel on the bench? He hasn't been given a fair chance. Is there still a moment for him?
Many a player at Cardiff.
But I mean, he's the striker. He sat there for weeks, and they haven't even played with a striker. You know, he's been on the bench. He was on the bench Saturday.
Well,
didn't
Zohore's
get a
been
chance.
experiencing the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
for weeks.
Well,
as well.
Zohore got used. Sardi didn't.
Well,
It could it still? Could it still be a chance?
I think it's just going to be
No.
another player that we're not going to even know what they were capable of. And we could, I'd probably reel off about 6 or 7 of them.
Well, I mean, surely I don't think he's going to have any impact this season now. It's been a terrible season for injuries for a start, which no one could legislate for. But all you could say with Sardi will be get a pre-season in and see what you can do. You know, I mean,
That's if the manager, whoever is the manager.
Well,
that's a whole nother conundrum you're opening up.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be talking about that this week, but
poor planning or no planning, well, you know.
Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
Exactly. Well, if your manager doesn't know and his backroom staff doesn't know if they're going to be here next season, really, how great are things? You know that.
yeah, but
that's
doesn't all that add to no pressure as
We've
well?
said this all along. This
No,
situation.
because
The manager's out of the door anyway,
because
probably.
you've got 25,000 Cardiff fans who don't accept that. Well, no, we'll just go off into the dark and let it go. They, like Sheffield Wednesday, like we just said, they demand, they pay their money, they demand the best until the end of the season. So, no.
It's a weird.
wrong.
We said it how bizarre it is that you got the guy, manager, actually running down his contract before your eyes. It's just never.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's just unbelievable.
Now, if they do that and they get a new manager and they structurally sort themselves out and set up to go forward, and the club gives, you know, a general idea of what's going to happen in the future, where they're going, what the idea is. We all know want to get to the Premier League, but I want to go to Jamaica, but if I was to get there, I need a plan. Now I'm going to get there. You don't just wake up tomorrow and
I don't know, I did a lot of travelling like that in my youth, just waking up in the morning and wondering where I was going. It was a long time ago.
So the planning is, and I think that is another reason why a lot of fans are going, not sure about next season. I mean, there's been a full stadium. They've done well to get the stadium full.
Yeah, they got the interest going again.
The crowds thing,
since we
that's
last
been a positive, yeah.
That's the free ticket situation, isn't it? Which I thought was a good idea. But if it falls and next season now you're back down to 14, 15,000, then basically, people just said, I'll take advantage. Yeah, but no, I'm not new in.
I'm not committed.
I just don't like I think the football early on was a problem and mid-season. Now I don't think the football is such a problem. I think it's just the overall, where are we going?
Yeah.
Most fans I speak to, I'll tell you, I'll be in electric suppliers and people come from beyond the camera, what's going on down there? That's all they ever say.
Yeah.
What's going on down there? Because they just don't know. They're in the dark. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that overall structure puts so much pressure on the team because fans are frustrated. So when they do go to the game, they don't necessarily they don't love the manager. They're not in the position they want to be in the league. They're not sure what's happening with the club. The manager, is he or isn't he going to be here next season? Well, we don't really want him, most of us, but some of us do, and we'll argue for him. So it's like
some just want a bit of continuity. They just want a bit something to grab hold of.
That's the only way to get success.
Do you think? I mean, even if they finish seventh, would you give Slade a new deal personally? Or what's your thoughts
personally,
on
I wouldn't know.
No.
Personally, I wouldn't know. Personally, I would. I think the way forward. It's easy to say find a young manager, blah 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 blah, but I genuinely believe that. I think when you look at some of the young managers who have established themselves, and you look at some of the younger managers in the lower leagues, there are managers there who I think that, would I take a look and take a chance? But that manager has got to fit into like a 3-year plan. It's no good just planning for a season. That's like a non-league football, and if he has a rough ride, the club got to be prepared to back him, because no one is always successful. Do you know what I mean?
The thing that, I mean, we've spoken about this before, but it's true. I mean, we're looking at Slade's situation, is the relationship with Vincent Tan, of the manager. I know for a fact that there's has been other managers who've backed off the idea, whether rightly or wrongly, but just the impression of working with Vincent Tan and finding it difficult. And one thing Slade has very much in his favour is that he works well with Tan.
Yeah.
Probably because he sort of doesn't argue too much. I think you work well with Tan when you just say, yes, Vincent, and leave and do what he's just told you to do. That's probably, and Slade has that, so it has that good relationship. So, I think there's a feeling from within the club that there's a definite feeling from the club. They're not that enamoured by Slade themselves, but I know it sounds pathetic, but they look around, I think, at a lot of the top brass there and say, who the hell are we going to get? Well, who's going to come in and do this? It's almost by default he could keep the job.
Someone said Saturday, when we had a chance to get Tony Pulis, Tony wouldn't work in that.
No, apparently he wouldn't. No.
It's okay saying we can get, but it's, if you're already worth £5 million, you're not worried about the wages people are going to pay.
It's your reputation, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's right. How can I structurally sort this system, this club? How we're going to play, players we're going to bring in. Now, if you come in and the owner's saying, right, you've got to take this player from my club in
Serbia,
and you look on. First of all, you might say, well, no, I don't want to work like that. I've got my own players that I want to bring in. Or if you look at the players and think, well, I can't work with that, and you say, well, no, and the owner says, well, it's not a request. It's an order. Now, you know, most people are going to say, well, I can't work.
This has been a problem all along. Vincent Tan has had his fingers burned, hasn't he? I mean, with the Malky Mackay situation, and now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think he doesn't know a lot. You know, he's learning about football all the time. One thing he has learned is that there's not many managers he actually trusts.
He needs an advisor. That's what he needs.
You can see it, but the way I see it is, Vincent Tan's got all these businesses. Say he's got a hotel, right, in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
He's not going to put a maverick manager in charge of his 5-star who says, actually, I'm going to rip up all the beds and bring in my own. You know, he's going to be like, you have a guy who's like, yes, we will do this, Mr. Tan. I think, as we said so much about football being different and him still not ringing it, I think he wants the same at the football club. As a guy go, I want to buy a new, you go and do it, thank you. He doesn't quite get the dynamic whereby, you know, guys like Pulis, the top guys who are maverick figures or whatever, who have their own minds and say, don't be ridiculous, we're doing this.
The problem with that is when the manager fails, Vincent Tan then doesn't want to look here. He wants to look there.
Well,
do you understand
apart from, yeah, well,
so
aren't football owners often to be found going, get rid of him,
yeah,
it's nothing to do with me.
If you're going to involve yourself to that degree, and you're going to want certain controls over what's brought in, who's brought in, who's not brought in, you got to shoulder some of the blame if it goes pear-shaped. So you can't then remove yourself from it and be devoid of responsibility and say, well,
I don't know. Football managers and chairmen have been proven pretty good at that down the years.
Do you understand what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I just think that the Tan and Slade, it works.
So what
for the two people involved. Whether it works for the club, are we saying we think
Tan is going to stick with him then? Is
I think he will.
I think he. I wrote recently that he will. I mean, the indications are that he will. I mean, this is the other thing about Cardiff City. It's very, you know. I mean, you get the impression talking to people up there, they don't know.
No, they don't.
And you get the impression that Vincent Tan might wake up one morning in May and go, let's give him a new 3-year deal.
I won't name any names, but I know that they don't know what's going on.
No, I know.
What's he waiting for then? Why hasn't he done that already?
I think he's undecided. I think he's looking at what's.
I mean, will he see 7th place as a failure in that case then?
I don't know what he's basing.
Can't speak
what
for
I'm
him.
saying is, I don't.
It's hard to say.
And I don't know what he's basing his knowledge on. It's not like, you know, when I was
surely
in
he's
United
waiting
for 15 years, we done this and we done that. Or when I was at Arsenal for 5 years, this is what we've done. So I'm going to follow. You know, you're talking about someone who has very little, if not no knowledge of football,
and we don't know who's advising him. Really,
we'd love to know, wouldn't we?
Well, we'd like to because well, maybe some people said because no, he must have because
who would have brought up
Vincent Tan, I like the look of that guy at Orient. I just can't picture that happening. My goodness, they've done well. He got them to 3 playoffs. So somebody must have presented Slade to him as an option and gone, there's this guy, or how they talked him round. I don't know, maybe the most persuasive agents in the world. So that's another problem as well. I mean, you don't know where you know, let's face it, for all he's done good for the club, crikey, we know Tan can be he's a law unto himself, isn't he? And I think very much now we're seeing that situation whereby even the top echelons of the club have no idea really what the head honcho is going to do. And I think that probably, I mean, for all we know, perhaps there are talks now that are not privy to, but I think there's a lot of people still in the dark, probably including Slade himself and top people.
So Alex
he who pays the piper calls the tune, though, guy. I'm kind of full of cliches today. as if that's unusual for me, though.
Yeah, Alex says Slade needs to be replaced in the summer.
Who said that?
Alex. Bob takes the opposite view, saying, who'd have thought that after all the consistent anti-Slade stuff, we're still talking about making the playoffs. And the old Bob also mentions that nobody's given us a chance, but Blackpool did it to us.
That argument is countered so quickly by, I know people within this building who write about football who have the opinion they're underachieving. There is a vast swathe of people out there who believe with what they've got, they don't care that they're knocking on the door. That gives them Slade no kudos with them, because there's a plenty of people who say they should be fighting for the top 2.
I say that. Maybe not top 4, definitely. They should be.
So who are they better than?
Who are they? They smashed Brighton, didn't they?
Right. Okay.
So on their day, they smashed Derby on their day. They've done
They beat Borough,
Borough.
just about.
Yeah, on their day. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they were taken
Oh,
apart.
do you remember that period when they couldn't score a goal?
Yeah.
Sorry, that just reminds
what I'm
me.
saying is,
The
if you
season
was-
Remember, they
coming
couldn't
back
score.
to you.
It's all like a bad dream.
if you were looking at, okay, look at Cardiff squad, look at Derby squad, look at Middlesbrough squad, look at Hull squad, look at Brighton squad, right? And you wouldn't say, man for man, plus we got probably 20 more players than all of them. You
We have got
wouldn't
a
say
striker, mind.
man for, well, we have got strikers, haven't we? And we've had strikers.
It's crazy that we got all these strikers
We've
out
gone
on
from
loan,
having-
haven't we?
We've gone from having
you
5
remember?
strikers to having 0 strikers.
Nobody.
We got like
This is what I'm saying. If you look at, I don't mean the squad that's just the 25-man squad
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about the
Start
players
of
we
the
have at
season.
our disposal.
Yeah.
If you look and you made a 25-man squad out of the players what we've got on our books, it would challenge and probably be better than most of the clubs in the league. You'd probably say the likes of Middlesbrough, Brighton. I think our squad is a better squad than Derby's squad then.
They spent a lot of money there, mind.
Our squad is a better squad than Sheffield
Instant players
Wednesday's
like
squad.
that.
I think our squad is.
And Wednesday got a lot of
I
experience.
think Hull got a very good squad on paper.
Hmm.
I think our squad is up there with that. But like I say, we've got 10, 15, 20 players more than most of them clubs. On our, our players are dotted around, right? But they're ours.
It's a fair point. So Roy begs a question, which is a good one, I think.
Well, they would.
Have we got the right players with the wrong manager, or the wrong players for the right manager?
I would. The right players with the wrong manager, or I would say it's a combination. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I would say it's a combination of both. Because, you know, at no point this season have you seen a consistency in either the manager or the playing.
Yeah.
The problem I get as well a little with Slade, and I said this, was do you feel it's like you can't see where he's going to go next? Do you know what I mean? The next level.
What's his next job?
Well, not so much at Cardiff. You know, say he's given a new deal.
Right.
You know, obviously there's going to have to be right. Here we go again. You know, few players in the summer.
I know exactly what you mean.
You get the
But
feeling almost he could be firing on maximum cylinders right now.
I think they
you know.
are.
I don't think they'd be a bad side, though.
I think they are. I think I'm not talking about the backroom staff.
Well, yeah,
I
the
think
whole.
they are. I personally think if I was Russell Slade and I was to be given a new deal, and this is no disrespect to Charles or Young or anyone like that, but I would bring in a very good coach. I would bring in
That'd be controversial.
a very good, highly
Because
rated
Trollope is
coach.
clearly highly thought of. If he's zero,
Trollope is regarded as a sort of saviour, hasn't
I
he?
get it.
I mean, when he first came in and they won a couple of games, it was all, well, Paul Trollope won that.
I get that. He could do with a proper assistant manager. Is that what you're saying, rather than?
Yeah.
I just think maybe the very
No, I think
size of the club itself.
I
is the
just
problem.
think is right. So Charles has done well, Youngie's done well, but how far do you want to go? Because at the end of the day, Russell Slade or not, if you say Charles, well, when you play well, the fans say, "Oh, it's because of Trollope." When you lose, it's because of Slade. Now I'm not having that.
Well, that was the mantra for ages.
I say you're the coach. You coach whether you've won Saturday or lost Saturday, whether you've won Tuesday night or lost Tuesday night.
Yeah,
you still then
coaching.
handle the team for the next week.
Yeah.
Right? So you're as responsible as anybody else. So it's like the team. I don't say, "Oh, we've failed because of Amiobi or because of Noon or because..." They've all been inconsistent.
Yeah.
Just like the staff. So I look at the staff and say, well, no one's ripped up anything. Let's not get it twisted. You're coaching it every day, and the performances for 2/3 of the season were rank. Now, was that Slade's fault or what you're doing on the coaching field? Because it's not Slade's fault. It's partly Slade's fault. It's partly Young's fault. It's partly Charles' fault. It's partly the fault of everybody. Then the players, you partly take responsibility for the way we're performing. Yeah, it's a group thing. You can't have a team and then say, right, we're going to split it and have individuals at certain times when we feel like it. So for me, whether people were in uproar or not, I would go completely and say, right, I want a highly qualified coach or someone who comes with success, who's done it before?
Anybody in
Who's
mind?
Promotion. No, I haven't
Think of that.
had time to think about it. You just checked the question.
Okay.
Grenade
I
gun
was
in.
thinking about it for
And
next
number
week.
two.
I like the idea of it though, because the proper
Toilet tapping.
What's that, mate?
Oh,
a proper assistant has been here and done it.
So that was good by your standards, man.
I missed it.
Yeah, so-
moving on.
no,
moving on. There's a lot of people want to have their own stab at
Good.
what
go on,
Saturday's
let's get the fans to
It
come.
was
on.
Saturday-
What do they say? What are they saying?
what Saturday's team should be. So Wayne
aye.
comes in with Marshall, Peltier, Connolly, Manga, Fabio, Pilkington, Immers, Whittingham, Noon, and Zahor up top.
Well, Fabio's not going to make it. He's injured. He's got
Okay.
a groin injury, but and Immers is 50-50, so you know he's contending with a few injuries going up there as well.
So you're happy with Harrison's Zahor on the bench? What would you go with, Blakey?
Mate, I don't know. I'd have to. That's not something I would just sit. I couldn't sit here and just give you off the top of my head. Every game is different.
Who's the most important?
Yeah.
Who's the most important players? Who's the ones that? I mean, Manga, for
Well,
example.
they're all important. I've just said to you, you can't separate the team. So I'd be then, contradicting myself.
Right, if
By
Man-
saying, well, he's more important than him.
Okay, so if,
You
if
can't
Manga's
play
fit,
four men.
if Manga's fit, does he come back in?
No, I don't see a problem there with Morrison and
Connolly.
Connolly. They started the season in. We were singing their praises for months. I had no reason to rip them apart now, even when Manga is fit.
So
That's like fixing something that's not broken for the sake of it. That there's plenty of other areas where you could go in and make changes that might actually improve.
happy with
things.
Zahor up top in such a big game?
Well, mate, it's not just a big game. It's the questions.
I've got no problem with- Sorry, man.
Almost blasé. Do you know what I mean? But think- no.
You're something very
Your
blasé about
question- Your question, you said that person's had time to sit and think and blah 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 blah. And what I'm saying is, this is like the biggest game in the season. You just don't say, I play him. Well, what's the opposition doing? Who's played for the last 4 or 5 games? Who am I going to get? Right, if that left back is quick as, do I play Noon or do I go, right, no, this game I'm going to put Kadeem Harris in because he's going to be quicker. It's chess. It's not as straightforward as just saying, I'll play him in football ain't like that.
Personally, I got no problem with Zahor starting there. I mean, he's 2 in 2. Should be confident, but there's all this stuff about Immers. All right, if Immers is fit, I'm sure you bring him back in because he's proven, you think. But if they have any suspicions that Immers is going to be out, I think the start of this week now today, you take Zahor aside and say, "You're the man."
Oh.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
Please tell him.
All right, we're training this week. You're up top. Let's do it. You're 2 and 2. Come on. All right. He's only 21 and all that, and he's learning, but. I wouldn't worry me to see him there. I wasn't as impressed with him all round because I didn't think he was that great in the air. Funnily enough, he's like about 6'5" or something.
In his other
he's not
cameos.
a target man or anything really.
He's won a lot of aerial
He is,
ball.
but he looks the part. But
He
I
didn't
wasn't
so much Saturday, I
I
know,
didn't
but
think he was that.
He has done
in
in
the
some
air,
of
but-
like against Leeds he did.
But the most pleasing thing about it was, okay, you got like about one chance, bang in. Thank
Same
you.
with
That's something I've always liked about a guy like that. Is
Same,
they get
yeah.
the one sight of goal and got that. That's a striker.
And that's what they're missing,
So I
isn't
would
it?
have no problem with him going up top if
So,
Immers
yeah.
is
It would be
out.
disappointing, I think, if he reverts back to Pilkington as a lone striker in a game that you have to win.
As I said, I think the Pilkington experiment is a little bit stale, as Blakey
its
said.
course,
Yeah, I
isn't
think
it?
it's
Yeah.
sort of.
Slated, like you're stuck with it for a long time, mind. He's only just changed it Saturday. haven't he?
No, I mean, I think Pilkington's done amazing being asked to go in there. He really has. He's found goals when he
Running
needed to
behind.
keep the thing, and it's not his greatest position. So no, I wouldn't criticise it, but I mean, it's come down to what we've been talking about all season: strikers, isn't it?
That's what wins you.
We wouldn't.
That's what wins you the games.
If
in the
Cardiff
league
had
at the end of
if
the
Cardiff had a 15, 16, 17, 18 goal striker
It was
in
a
their thing,
great-
they'd be in the
great point.
playoffs.
Well, add 15 goals to that squad now.
And
Yeah.
Anthony brings in a brilliant
We're in
one.
the playoffs.
I felt
for the top two.
Yeah.
Anthony says, I felt this in January and I still feel it now. City's failure to secure the signing of Tony Watt has cost them. There's no one like him at City with his pace and directness, and I hope they sign him in the summer. If they went with him up front
Where
on
did he
Saturday-
go?
I'd forgotten Tony. You went
Blackburn.
Blackburn. How's he done since he's been there?
Never hear of him
Yeah,
anymore.
he
Didn't
scored a couple
score
of-
on his,
yeah,
he scored on
Scored
his
early
debut.
on, but he's not prolific. I spoke to people at Charlton about him. I've got friends at Charlton, and they said he's not for someone who's got so much dribbling ability and whatever, he won't get you 20 goals a season.
He had a good scoring rate here, didn't he? He scored a...
Well, he's kind of scored quite early and then didn't score for like his last 6 or something like that.
Really, I don't think he was like a 1 in 4, probably 1 in 3, 1 in 4.
It was a similar thing where we'd had Ravel and things like that for so long.
We haven't had what I would call a striker. Ernie gets you 2 goals out of nothing.
McCormack.
Right, and he wasn't great here, but he was going to mature and become a very good player.
He is a
Same
seriously
I
good
thought
now,
Gusted would mature and become a good player.
Oh, he'd be good, yeah.
You know,
God, what you can imagine like Gusted now.
I know,
His first name on the team sheet would be up front. Be like,
He'd be
bang,
perfect
go and have a go, you know. Typical of the Bluebirds, really.
I mean, you've had Jones this season, you've had Ravel this season, you've had Pilkington this season,
You had Watt up there on
this
loan.
season,
Yeah.
you've had
a
what's his name, went to Wolves, Mason this season. You've had, you know, you're not even at the end of the season. And
Gone
it's
through
not
6.
Listen,
They got Doyle out on loan, the Fons were out on loan.
If you're talking like they've been severe injuries, we've been hit unlucky with a lot of injuries, blah blah blah, and our front number 9 position, you say fair enough, but it's just a case where, you know, Ravel played 20 odd 25 games for the club this season, 20 odd games for the club. 1 goal, I think it is, something like that.
The amount of perseverance shown in Ravel was bonkers, really, in that even the most unknowledgeable person who could sit and go, God, he doesn't look like a very good, you know, your 5-year-old kid could go, well, he doesn't look very good, Dad.
The structure is
And it was
typical,
like, somebody
typical
wants
Cardiff City. We're looking ahead to like a cup final on Saturday and we're talking about Ravel.
No.
Good goalkeeper.
Yeah. Great goalkeeper.
So let's have a think about Saturday. I mean, if you were the manager Saturday going up there, what would you say in your team talk?
I like this guy. You do know what you'll be happy to. You do know it's his last show, don't you?
Yeah, you won't get this again.
I'm pleased to say. Well, we have this
Saturday morning.
grilling again. Knowing Dolly's laid back here with his loose attitude.
How would you inspire this? Let's be honest, right? This team hasn't played at its best in weeks.
I just say,
how would you inspire
listen,
them?
let's be honest, you've been inconsistent all season. The press haven't been great for you. On Russell Slade, the press haven't been great for me. But you've got an opportunity in the next 3 games to turn it all around. Your whole season rests on 1 game. Yeah? Your whole season rests on 1 game. The pressure's on them. They got 40,000 in the house. Right? You start well, you know what happens. But they will have their period, but that's the period you're going to stick together. Be solid. Do not concede. And if you do concede, so what? So what? It doesn't mean say you go concede 1, 2, 3, 4, game's over. You concede 1, bang, you shut it down. Everything shut down. Everyone goes to right, high intensity, graph. We're not worried about trying to get corners. We just boom, 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 and you come out and trust me, fellas, over 2 legs in the playoffs, you beat anybody. So win this game, and your dreams are achievable.
That's it.
Simple as.
You should be a manager, Blakey, or maybe an actor. That was superb.
No, I've seen him acting.
That's genuinely inspiring.
See this table?
But a lot of what you say there is true, because you know a lot of people are writing them off. You do worry that they write themselves off when you know they really don't need to.
Well, it's come full circle. It's coming back after Bolton. You don't go there with you know, you go there with a trepidation. You know, you think, oh crikey, they're not quite on it. You know,
someone in that backroom staff, whether it be Russell Slade, Scott Young, Paul Trollope, whoever, I don't know the rest of them, I've got to come up with some inspiring words. I've got to come up with, you know, an Al Pacino kind of speech moment. Do you know what I mean? Which makes you stop and...
What, from Scarface?
No, which makes you, you know...
Genuinely
any
believe.
given Sunday, mate, you need to watch some more TV instead of that Morrissey chasing. But you need to come up with something that's very inspiring, that makes you think. You stood in the tunnel, you zoned.
Yeah, we can do this.
You zoned. So whether you got 80,000 in the stadium, I don't care. You've got your gladiator suit on, you're going out the battle, and you know, boy, I'm going to absolutely bury you.
Worst teams in this lot have made the playoffs.
Bury you.
Worst teams in this lot have made the playoffs.
Worst teams in this have got up?
Yeah.
when Blackpool, don't disrespect Blackpool fans, when they done us in the playoff final, huh? Still to this day, I'm like, how did that happen?
Bosroyd injured.
Bob's come up with his own team talk. He says, just win for the fans, for the club, and don't miss this great opportunity to prove you're good enough.
Bob should do the team
We
talk.
should do it. Let's make this a competition.
Yeah,
shouldn't we?
win the chance to do the Cardiff City team talk ahead of
Inspiring speech.
But it's true. I mean, there'll be a few thousand fans up there. Who will it be expecting?
It'll be a fantastic day. It's a great
I'd be surprised
day.
if they don't travel about 3 deep, 4 deep, 3 or 4,000.
I would have thought they'd sell out their away allocate. I don't know what it is. It must be quite a lot if the stadium's that big.
It's expensive, mind. 36 quid.
That's poor.
But
That is
taking
expensive.
advantage. But
It's too much.
you know, they'll go.
Yeah.
They'll go.
You always find the money to go and
They'll
see
go.
a game like
They'll
that.
go. They'll go. That's one thing I love about them. I love the away travelling support. I love the home support. I love the away travelling support. It is like.
You feel like they're the real deal,
No,
those guys on the road, don't you?
You knew, like,
And girls.
and this, I don't mean this, but you knew everyone was slightly intimidated that this nutty bunch of Welsh fans will come in, and you know, they're Welsh anyway. So we play into that.
Exactly,
Do you know what I
that's-
mean? And it's like the club officials, the police, everything, the fans, the players, and the opposite. Yeah, they're a bit nutty, them lot. So you go there and you know, with confidence, chest out, you know, 4,000 fans behind you. So you got 35,000 fans in your own stadium, so you should. Yeah, if you're a Premier League club, so you should. But you know, would 4,000 of you travel down to Cardiff for this same game, and you know what I mean? Well,
That's what you want as a fan. It's the games you want, though, isn't it?
exactly. As a
Big games.
player,
Yeah.
as a player, mate. Listen, there's nothing worse than being at this stage of the season and being 10th,
Yeah.
being Fulham or something like that. Mate, what? You know.
It's a waste
You
of
have to
46
go out
games.
and perform to the best of your ability. But if anyone's going to say to me, oh, you still should perform, listen, if you're in the World Cup final or you're just playing a qualifier, your whole thought process will be totally different. So this is a moment where the whole occasion, the game, what it means, needs to be captured by the staff and fed into those players' brains, so they go out there. And we had it at Wolves when we had the playoff final, and the night before the final,
You had Dave Jones to motivate you. Come on.
We'd watched Cardiff the
That's
night
right, yeah,
before, or that afternoon, and in the night, about 10 or 12 players in the room, and we just spoke. We had an open conversation about life and everything, and then it was just we ended up. I was just saying to the boys, listen, whether you like this or like that, whether you like this person or like that person, whether you get on with guards or stick, it doesn't matter. This tomorrow is a defining moment for this club. 20 years it hadn't been up, and it was like pressure. That is pressure when all the fans, that's all they keep talking about. 20 years we haven't, 20 years we haven't, 20 years we haven't. And I had watched them from Bolton and Blackburn fail so many times.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And thought that club's a bit Mickey Mouse. They promise a lot, never spend a lot of money, never get right. So pressure does funny things to people, because the previous season at Sheffield Wednesday, we went there and got beat and never even made the playoffs.
That's right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So psychologically, the following season, just going into the playoffs, I remember playing, I think it was Reading, Pardew, and I think we drew 0-0 at home, I think it was, and they were in our dressing rooms next door celebrating like Christmas had come 100 times all at once, and we were just sat heads down, and I remember just saying, just listen, they think they've done us. They think they've done us. We went there 1-0, end of. All in there, mate.
It is, isn't it?
More than anything else. And that's
That's what they're going to play on. Because don't forget, Sheffield Wednesday were 8 minutes away from securing their playoff place on Saturday.
Psychologically a blow, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Go
comes
and
into
put
it.
a goal past them early doors and they start looking around.
Yeah.
Go and put a second one past them.
I-
Listen, you're going to have to dig deep, because that wave will come. Wave after wave
It's
will come at
weird,
some
but you
point.
do have a slight, like I said at the start, just a feeling in your waters that It's there. They can do it.
Oh,
You can
it's
just,
there.
You can sort of. It's one of those. Often you can't picture something in your head. You're like, nah, but you can almost see it. You can almost picture it falling into place, as we say. They're sneaking one
Well,
up
they're
there.
always dangerous
and
from set pieces. Any corner they get, any free kick they get is dangerous. They've got a solid defence. They can stay.
But like I say, someone in that dressing room, whether it be a player or a coach, is going to have to stand at the front then and say, right,
Make
follow me.
them really believe
I
it.
don't mind if I get shot first, but I'm going in. So are you coming, yes or no? They need to honestly, truly believe that they're going to go there and they're going to put the sword on Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, and I hope, backroom staff included, I hope there's someone there who's got that ability. Because if players truly believe you and believe what you're saying, even if they don't, if they collectively come together and make that, that group, that way of thinking, there's not a lot that can touch, like 11 men all thinking in the same way emotionally, mate, it's a strong thing. It is a strong thing. The tool of the brain, best there is.
So having said all that, we'll have predictions of you both, please.
Crikey. I've forgotten about that. Bang goes the inspiring. Go out there and show them. I got you to lose 3-0 in those days.
No,
You've practically done the team
like
talk for them.
I've said to you before.
I hope they're watching that.
This is my honest truth, right? I like Youngie. I like Charles. I played with him. I played with Charles for Wales, and I like Russell Slade. I don't dislike him at all. He's nice enough character. Out of those three, would I say any of those three, if I was in the dressing room on Saturday, are going to stand up and give me something that I've never heard from them before, which is real, from the heart? It doesn't mean like, oh, he's just saying it, or I've heard it all before. I mean, it's not a speech. It's just something that you're going into battle, mate. Literally, that's how you've got to be thinking. I'm a gladiator, and I'm going into battle, right? Out of the backroom staff, is there anyone there who could probably give that sort of speech and inspire? I very much doubt it. That is my...
Even the playing staff, the only one that's been there long enough to care that much is Whittingham, and he's the last person.
Right.
I was thinking that, and then you've got Captain Marshall, who another guy who's a lovely fella, brilliant goalkeeper, but you sort of think, you can't imagine him on the top of the thing. So
Darren Pearce or something.
Connolly, possibly.
Morrison?
Morrison
spoke
possibly.
well.
It's going to have to come from somewhere,
But
isn't
it's not a, come on lads, we've got to go,
Yeah.
No, it's a literally sit down and
just tell him.
You know what I think? O'Keefe's game. I noticed him. There was a moment I noticed in the game, in the Bolton game, when they'd had an attack, and I think it might have been equal, and they couldn't get the breakthrough. And it was just a moment when I was just watching, and O'Keefe was going. Was just like in the middle of the park saying to them that something had just broken down. He was like, "Get up, get up!" No, it was like, "Come on, keep it going, keep it going." And I love to see that. I think fans love to see that.
Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane in the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
That was called intimidation, right? That's all Patrick Vieira was trying to do. However, when you got a man like Keane who steps up and says, "We'll see out there, mate," because fans and everybody, chairman, owners, blah, 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 blah. Listen, you've never had the pleasure of getting onto that field. It's a totally different experience from a player than it is from a fan's perspective. I guarantee you, those 10 players behind Keane, whether they thought Arsenal, because they were a massive team, they would have thought, we can take anybody. We got a leader up front who's prepared to run through anything and anyone. I'm not shirking.
Yeah, not letting him down.
I'm going.
I got to face him in training on Monday.
And I believe they won that game, didn't they?
I can't remember.
I think they did, United. But that's what I'm talking about.
It was more than that.
It wasn't about the football then.
Yeah, they set up a whole.
Yeah, it was the football
team
almost
spirit.
become a second.
You don't get too many Roy Keanes hanging around, unfortunately, though.
Paul Ince played with Vinci, brilliant.
Well, yeah.
Who would have been the one in your City team to have given that talk? Because you must have had them. You must have had times in a '93 season where you thought, "Oh, hang on a minute."
I was only a bad.
Well, I was going to say, it was only like 20 odd, wasn't it?
Like that. I was just worried about carrying that weight of having to perform, and Eddie saying, "You perform."
Well, I mean, it's amazing because
That
you think of
was- that was
Zohore,
rough.
they're saying
You know what I
Zohore's losing
But
at
Paul
learning at
Ramsey-
21.
Paul
He was
Ramsey
20.
Was
Someone I would've
probably
thought.
Paul Ramsey. He used to do my head in when I played with him, but you know, as I grew up and got older, I then loved him and respected him.
Realised what he was
more
doing.
because of he had put things into me that I then later on used, like at Bolton and Blackburn to get promoted, Wolves to get promoted. That I didn't even realise at the time. I just thought he was always on my case. Do you know what I mean? But he was always on my case for a reason.
So you know how
Not
good
just
you were?
because he thought I could perform, but because it was right. This mental game. It's not about. Do you know what I mean? Because he'll admit I'm not the greatest player. But I'm a great motivator.
He was a leader. You could tell that
Do
just
you
by
know what I mean?
watching.
And we all loved having Pena on our team
Yeah.
when it comes down to right sleeves up time. You know what I mean? There was other players who weren't like that. You know, Chrissy Pike wasn't like that.
Yeah.
You know, Daly wasn't really a Paul Miller. He was a a real thing. So
Perry.
there are certain players. Rats want to play with Rats. You know, Hazelwood want to play with him. Pezza. You know, Surly.
Robbie James.
Give it that. Oh, Robbie James was just different gravy, mate. Seriously, I love playing with Rats because he was a Welsh captain, but playing with Robbie James as well. Robbie was just, it was just too simple for him. The game was just too simple for him. He was just.
But you had the team that was full of leaders, and perhaps that's just what they're missing right now, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I wouldn't consider myself a leader as in where I used to speak and things. I tried to be a leader as the way I played.
Yeah, I
But
won the
it took
ball.
me a year or two to understand that there's a lot of people relying on you. You know what I mean? And you know, I didn't necessarily want that weight at 18, 19 years old. But
You were having it, and that was that.
It comes with the territory, I'm afraid. Do you know what I mean? You ain't got time to say, but I'm only 19.
That's what Zahore's going to get.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Zahore's
thinking
gonna
that.
be
It's
the striker,
interesting.
you
It's
know.
saying Zahore's still learning, he's this and that. I mean,
21.
Blakey was carrying the Cardiff side at like 19 years old.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like 2 years older.
I
mean,
wasn't carrying it. I was part of
you were a
very
vital
good-
element
yeah,
in
yeah,
it,
but I was
all right?
part of it,
I know you weren't
we
carrying
mentioned,
it.
like we said, Robbie James, Paul Pena.
But like you said, Eddie
Paul
May
Miller.
was put a lot of pressure
Oh,
on.
he
You've
did,
always
he
said,
did.
haven't you? I mean,
We
saying
did,
we're relying on you, we're looking at you.
Yeah,
we want
I try and get out. I try and get out after training. Give that one down the corridor, run off, and then just as I was going through, you know, like the little vestibule.
Yeah, the little glass door, the little
Coming down the stairs, where are you going? I just go. I need to see you in the office. I'm like, what have I done?
It's Saturday, you gotta do it, if you don't, we're struggling you.
Oh, yeah. But again, I suppose that was a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Constantly getting me into this way of thinking that, you got to be great, you got to
You're
be good,
professional,
you got to perform, you got to do things out of the ordinary. Do you know what I mean? So, great times though, man. Great times, reminiscing about my old boys.
That was fascinating. I still haven't got your prediction for Saturday.
What
I
prediction?
don't know how we got into that.
I go for 1-0 Cardiff because I'm
nice
being
one.
all
We'll have
sort
some of that.
positive and nice.
I'll go with that.
Oh, brilliant.
I'll
That's
go
good.
with a 1-0 and
I'll go with that.
set up that
No,
last
in
day.
fact, I'll go with a 2-1 because I think both teams will score, and I think
94th minute winner.
I think it's all about 9 times out of 10 in a game, who starts best tends to win the game, especially if you start well and score.
Yeah.
It's kind of a freak result if you score 2 goals and someone comes back and beats you 3-2. So what I would be saying is make sure for the first 10, 15 minutes in that game, you're not chasing, they're chasing you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because then after 15 minutes, it'll settle down, they will have a spell, then you should finish better. Last, 38 to 45. Hopefully a goal ahead, come in second half. Same again, start, It's like a boxer, be first, don't wait to get smacked in the face and go, ah!
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're attacking without control. Be first, be in control all the time of your opponent. So, but expect that he's going to get a few digs on you. So,
Right, let's hope you're right.
Sounds exciting.
It's been a
it's going to
pleasure.
be a great game.
Yeah. And follow all the
Have to say
builders.
farewell to Gaz now.
What do you mean? Is he going for real?
This
He's
is my
leaving
last
the
show, yeah.
company.
This is my
This
last
is his
day.
last Bootroom.
Oh,
Yes.
he was winding me up?
No. Somebody's actually employing him. I find it hard to
right.
believe.
Actually, I did know. Bring it in.
Bring in the strippergram. It's Dolly.
Thank you, mate.
Pleasure,
Right,
Steve.
thank you, mate.
Pleasure.
Good one,
I'll
man.
take it.
Thanks for joining us all this time, and follow us for all the build-up to the big game throughout the week on Wales Online. Thank you.
Ooh, see you.